Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
There's been continuous discussion about the imminent age of Aquarius. Different ideas and theories explore the consequences it may have on both individuals and the Earth. Will it be an age of evolutionary growth, or are we on the eve of destruction? Mission Evolution Radio TV show is coming to you around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net. Our guest this hour, Guru Dr. Siegfried Baumbach, is a master of real initiation, yoga master, and Foundera of YogaArt Ashram, IZTAC. Siegfried has also been a trainer of holotherapists for over 40 years. Dr. Baumbach is a physician, chiropractor, kinesiologist who works with nutrition, sound healing, and bioconstruction, and is the creator of holographic iridology. His website, IZTAC.org. Dr. Baumbach, thanks for joining us on Mission Evolution.
Thank you.
So your bio says you're both a physician and a chiropractor. Does that mean like a medical doctor or another kind of physician?
No, as a chiropractor, we are physicians.
Okay, great. And you have a lot of other modalities under your belt, it looks like. So what prompted you to study so many different areas?
Well, maybe I am a curious guy because, in Germany, an aunt of mine, she gave me a book when I was about 18 about yoga. And she said, it didn't work for me, but you're a little bit strange, so may it work for you. And it did work for me. And that was when I started with the practice of yoga while I was studying physiotherapy. And it really caught me. And then I looked for, someday I needed to find somebody who teaches me, a master. And also the book said, it's good that a yogi would be a vegetarian. So I said, yeah, one day I will. And so I was practicing yoga for 8 years. And then I came to the United States and I was always waiting. And there came masters from India, like Yogi Bhajan and Muktananda and different masters. And I always looked them up. With some of them, with Yogi Bhajan, had a lot of interaction, in fact, in time, even though I didn't join the group. But then I found an organization which had initiatic schools and the Supreme Order of Aquarius. And it was their main place in Mexico. And that's what I really started, moving out and trying to learn so many more other things around health and consciousness and, just the art of living free.
So what does it mean to be a guru and a master of initiation?
Well, first of all, initiation can be interpreted in so many ways, but it's really very simple because all of us, an adult who searches for understanding life, is already somehow entering in the process of initiation because it's an eternal looking for answers, even though finding many answers, but it's exploring the world, exploring the mysteries of life. And now we can do it better in groups when we assist each other and we reflect to each other. And it also is to learn on all levels of our being, on the physical, on the emotional, on the mental, and on the spiritual level. It's on all levels to find how we can manage our life. And the proposal of yoga in India really embarks on all these things. And in India, a guru is a master who teaches his disciples the practices of different ways of yoga. But that is not the only way, because initiation is like we could say, the essence, the synthesis which is beyond religions, which is it's not another religion. It's just to try to really understand what is behind, what is the essence of all religion and traditions and all philosophies in a way.
So are you, by initiation, it's like you're stepping out of the dogma and starting to look for truth?
Absolutely, yeah. Because dogma, what is dogma? Dogma is that there is some uh, master, some avatar, like a Christ, like a Buddha, like a Krishna, who have given teachings to the world. But then we come and we take the teachings and we interpret them, which is okay because we can only do that what we can understand. But then the dogma comes when somebody who interprets a teaching says what it means is this. So that's why we have today 20,000 different religious Christian sects, each one saying, I'm have the right thing there. And well, if we compare, it's there's so many meanings behind the teachings, so we have to go beyond the interpretation and discover all the time what is really behind the teaching and what is for me in this moment. So we cannot tell other people you have to do it just the way I understand. That's where the dogma comes from.
So if all the religions, they were kind of enigmatic in certain ways, and you could interpret them a thousand different ways. Was that because there was a need for flexibility because things change so rapidly?
Well, the need for flexibility really we are beginning to understand now because the Piscean age from Christ to here has been very rigid, in fact. And that's what we have seen, with the fanaticism in religions and in the Inquisition, for instance, and, so many other things. And today, still, we live this fanaticism, this extreme way of interpreting. So it has been very rigid, but it's because of ignorance and because of a lack of understanding what really the teaching behind is. And that's coming back to initiation, is the study. Like somebody who goes into a study of initiation, he would approach any religion and any belief system, but from a different angle, not from the dogmatic angle, to try to understand what was behind this teaching and how, even though there are different words, the same meaning is there everywhere.
So there's a lot of power in these teachings. I mean, I don't think any of us can argue that. Where there's power, there's always exploitation. How
Mhm.
much do you think of these interpretations and the rigidity has been an exploitive move?
Well, just because it's so simple, because who wants power from the ego, from the person, of dominating, of having, of controlling. And that's why we have a society which is based on competition. If I take from the other, I will be stronger. And now, yes, wisdom or knowledge represents a kind of power. But if I am at the same time in a path of realization, a spiritual uh, realization, not spiritual religious realization, then I will understand that the maximum power is not to have any power on the ego level. But then power can come in as a knowledge, but the knowledge now is used to serve others, not to dominate them. But the ego wants to dominate because this is the small what we try to have. And so with a study of initiation and of true spirituality, we have power, but it's not the power of the human who wants to control. It's a power
So,
of knowledge.
so is the initiation when a person steps out of the dogmatic rigidity and starts to look and open up to new ways of looking at things?
Well, in this form, what we call real initiation, because there are, uh, withered initiations. There are so many initiations, you know. but or shamanic initiations and so forth, which becomes very much popular in these days, confounding these kind of psychic powers with true spirituality. But yes, when a person comes to what an Aquarius will really be present more and more, then yeah, you step out of this and you open. And first of all, because it's from a service standpoint, it's not of empowering myself, of being great and being famous and all this. It's rather like, well, I've been given things and I thank this with serving others so their lives can be better.
It seems like we're kind of living in a time when there's not a whole bunch of that going around. I mean, there's some people that are in service and they're being exploited, and there's other peoples that are exploiting the ones that are in service. How can we stand in the truth of who we are and still be in service without being exploited?
Well, we will find, as the Aquarian age goes on, we will find out that the actual position of competition is really not very intelligent, because this exploiting destroys, and we are seeing it everywhere. So, and we're getting into a rhythm, more and more rush, and they have to achieve and go getter and all these things, and burned out people because they have to compete with the other company and so forth. And we
Well, I'm
see,
sorry, we're going to have to take a
go
little
ahead,
break
take your
here.
time.
It's time for a
Okay.
station break.
All
Dr.
right.
Baumbach and I will return very shortly, so don't go away. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. What is all the hype about the age of Aquarius? With us this hour discussing entering a new age is Dr. Siegfried Baumbach. His website, IZTAC.org. Dr. Baumbach, many say we are entering into a new age. What's this based on?
Well, it's an astronomical fact, because the Earth has many movements. 13 are known. I only know 3. But the first one we all know, it revolves around its own axle. The second one, it moves around the sun. And the third one, while it does so, the axle describes a kind of a circle, not exactly a circle, more oval. And to fulfill this whole round, it's 26,000 years. And if we divide that in 12, we have about 2,160 years, even though each sign is a little bit different. So it's, first of all,
So
yeah,
12 because of the signs of the zodiac, the 12 signs of the
yeah,
zodiac.
because there are 30 degrees, it's 360 degrees the whole round, but each sign has about 30 degrees, but because of their position, some can vary a little bit. So, and we had 1,948 years from the last age, which was the Piscean age, from Christ to 1948, when the Aquarian age started. But yes, it is a transition, so it comes in slowly. And now is the interpretation of, on the astrological level, what it means to be in Pisces, or what it means to be in Aquarius. And also the Aquarius in this astrology is in the 11th house. So there are many aspects that define an age. And so we can understand now in what historic times we are living right now, and therefore understand that, yeah, even though everything looks like we're going towards destruction, really there is a possibility of a very different. In fact, many sages have said this is the age of Aquarius, which is the golden age for humanity, because now the human being can awaken in their consciousness, and that's what mission evolution is all about. So that's what we have to unite all over the planet with any effort that helps to create more consciousness, because Aquarius has the keyword to know.
So if we're talking about the ages, the different ages, and apparently we're in a different place in the galaxy, or in the scheme of things, with each age, they're different. And is that difference create a different frequency? by which it supports different activities on the planet.
Yes, it does create a different frequency, and this gives us a possibility of aligning with this frequency.
And then the things that the frequencies that we're leaving are no longer supported. Is that why we're seeing all this chaos?
Right, because Piscean age was dominated by the element water. Water is the emotional body, is suffering, is blood, is violence, is many things. And also the key word for Pisces is I believe. And so the belief systems and the dogmas were typical of Pisces. We are still in the transition, so we see still a lot of it, and we see still a lot of this pyramidal domination in governments and in enterprises and so forth. But we are entering in the Aquarian age, where the key word is I know, and also the aspect is the synthesis, the integration, the creativity instead of the competition. And so these are the possibilities, even though we do have to develop them consciously among us. And this is beginning to happen more and more visible, especially since we entered the second degree of Aquarius, the 21st of March in 1920, when COVID started.
So that just opened up a whole bucket of worms, didn't it?
Yes, and at the same time, if I'm not an astrologer. I know astrology to a certain degree, but it hasn't been my main field. But like, for instance, Pluton, who is the main planet for change, and Pluton remains for 20 years, more or less, depends, in one sign. And Pluton had been in Capricorn, and it entered Aquarius, which was very significant, even though it got back a little bit. And just in these days, in November, it will enter finally in Aquarius and stay there for 20 years. And in all this year, we have had, many aspects which made it very difficult for many people, especially those who wanted to hold on to the old paradigms, who wanted just to, the same old power and dominating others and so forth. And that becomes more and more difficult. So we could say it's like those who are already asking the questions about what is really the meaning of life, and are really also sincere and wanting to have the answers, they can get it, because nowadays through the internet we have so many possibilities of courses and everything. So the knowledge is there. It is just one has to be ready to receive it and to understand it. And that is what is beginning to happen. And that is what will change also our attitudes among each other.
So people that are trying to hold on to the old way because it's been working for them, more or less,
Yeah.
are under increasing pressure. Is that why we're seeing some of this volatility right now?
Yes, because if we talk about evolution, we obviously talk not about just the physical evolution of the species and so forth. In the human being, we talk about the evolution of the mind and of the consciousness. And of course, if we ask the question about what is really the meaning and the sense of life, then we will see that the sense of life is not only in I have to survive. There's this one first aspect, and that's where most of the people are, in the survival mood. I mean, we are all in there somehow. But then the next step is the self-gratification. I want to have more and the best and pleasures, and it's all fine. But that's where we get stuck. And then there's this third part when the people say, what? But this, even I have everything and it really doesn't make me so happy. Now they ask, so what is there? What else is there? And with this question now comes a more understanding exactly of that life is about evolution, is of developing, is of, of learning, of expanding our consciousness. And when we do this, then we see that competition is not good for our evolution. But creativity is great because then we can construct our own reality because we have a clearer mind on how to do it, and we support each other for it. So that's much more intelligent than what we are doing right now.
You've mentioned several times asking the question, and that's instead of my beliefs are the only beliefs and being locked into that. Is there something about asking a question that opens us up to new information, to new viewpoints?
The first thing, well, we need to understand how, the ego, how it works. And many traditions say, no, you have to kill the ego. No, the ego is like a horse of a pure breed horse. But if you don't know how to handle it, it will trample on you. But if you know how to interact, then you can mount it and it will move fast. But mostly we are dominated by the ego because it's our identification of just, I'm this body, my emotions are these, my mental preferences are these. And so, the identification, and what we are in the process of understanding, that we are much more than that, that there's, the true essence, the true being behind. And so when we are working with the ego, then of course we will go into this competition mood, and that's where the things don't work. So we have to be sincere, because the ego, on one hand, because of the pride, wants to know, yeah, I'm intelligent and I know I am a sage. Well, but then we need to get to, the humility to understand that we are really ignorant. The only thing that changes is the topic. But in a universe of infinite possibilities, how can we not be ignorant? But we discover a little bit more and more and more. But so the ego says, yeah, I want to know. But then when the real answers come that say, well, calm down, ego, then the ego doesn't want to know anymore. So knowledge is not a matter of just information. Knowledge is a matter of experience and of really knowing. And then, yes, we give ourselves to this, and we share and we serve. And that makes the whole difference in our way of living together in our society.
It looks like radical change is on the horizon then, yes?
Absolutely.
If it seems like people think, oh, okay, the Aquarius is here and I'm just going to magically ascend to a state of awareness and enlightenment.
Mm.
Does it work like that, or does it take something else?
Well, I mean, we all are at different points in our evolution. So we cannot see it in the same way for everyone. And there's this anecdote of a pilgrim who comes to a family who are illuminated, the father, the mother, and the daughter. And this pilgrim goes and asks the father first, how is this to be illuminated? And I say, oh, this is very difficult, very hard, a very long way, a lot of discipline, a lot of, And then he goes with the mother, with his wife. And she says, no, I know what the old man says.
We're going to have to leave this as a
Okay.
cliffhanger and pick up on
All
what the
right.
wife had to say on the other side of a commercial break.
All
Dr.
right.
Baumbach and I will be right back to continue our discussion. So you stay right there. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Is your consciousness awakening? This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. With us discussing an evolution of consciousness is Siegfried Baumbach. His website, IZTAC.org. Dr. Baumbach, we were in the middle, and I had to leave it as a cliffhanger of a parable of sorts that you were telling us about enlightenment. Would you kind of catch us up and then go forward?
Yes, we said that the man says it was very difficult and hard, a lot of discipline and a long road, because the question was, how can this happen? Is it fast, easy, quick? And the wife says, well, actually, it's not so difficult. You just have to open yourself and be sensitive and be true, and it's very easy, actually. And then And he goes with the daughter, and the daughter says, well, I know what my father says, I know what my mother says. If you want to see it difficult, it's going to be difficult. If you want to see it easy, it's going to be easy. Well, that's the anecdote, but actually, there's of course a road to walk on, and yet the understanding comes in any moment, and it's like, therefore, it's good to do things every day. It's like drops, drops of wisdom that are understood. It's not a matter of just remembering it. And so, yeah, it's a path, but we cannot say it's easy or hard. It's different for everyone. And we
So
have
if
a great chance in Aquarius to really do a big step forward.
given that we have quite the opportunity here, but it's kind of up to us whether we take the opportunity or not, what can you tell our audience about what first steps they can take, whether it's easy or hard or otherwise? What are the first steps they can take to start the process?
To stop. Because we are so much in, we're having to do and to achieve and to go, and we're a few times really take the time to just really go inside. We are so much on the outside. Everything is on the outside. How do I look and how much money do I have and all these things? They are all okay, but that's not the purpose of life. And so if we stop and go a little bit more inside and go into silence, go into nature and listen, then intuition will begin to work. I call it the whispering of our soul. It will tell us things, and we just have to look around because life is talking to us all the time. So we have to be aware of what are the messages. And for each one, there are different messages. Of course, I could talk about, find a yoga class, a yoga teacher, go have meditation, change your diet to vegetarian, stop drinking alcohol, and go, whatever, go to a group and to develop yourself. But it's different for each one. So it's first of all to observe, where am I at? What is not checking with me with my work, and that doesn't mean you have to already look for another work, but it's like, what do I want to improve in my life, what I really am yearning for, and answer these questions by yourself, even writing it down, and look around. I mean, if you're listening to this, for some reason you're listening to this, and so you may want to look around in your neighborhood or on the internet, whatever. There's so many answers there today. We have just to be sincere to want to really know the answers.
To ask the question again.
And first of all, ask the question. And the question has to do mainly with, what is the meaning of life, and what is the meaning of my life? What is my mission in this life? What I'm here for?
Do you feel that we each have a mission? I mean, a lot of us are brought up in the old age, if you will, believing that it's about, you go to work, you make your money, you buy as many things as you can so you can compete with the neighbors, and that's the purpose of life. But is there something larger, and is that available to everybody?
It is available to everybody, but not everybody is ready for it. So you will know when you're ready for it. And sometimes it's in a very difficult situation, a divorce, a disease, an accident, and you had invested in Wall Street, and all of a sudden, your investment goes down, and then you say, now what's happening? I thought everything was fine. And
But those are kind of initiations in themselves, aren't they?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we can look at a shattering as an opportunity. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, not looking for shattering.
No, 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 no.
Because there was Pisces, yeah, people would hurt themselves to think that was spiritual. No, we have to have a good time, but a healthy good time. But when we don't have a good time, well, then both The rich things, the happy things, as well as the difficult things, are always to advance. And then we can see it, and then we understand each moment and each situation, because I will say one phrase which probably one has to think about and for the rest of their lives. Everything is necessary, perfect, and related. This is a cosmic law. It's not an invention of someone, but we have to observe how it operates. Quantum physics gives us more and more answers about this. But then we start to observe and we say, well, already maybe people now say there are no coincidences, it's synchronicities, because everything is related. There's a reason, there's a purpose behind. But to find out, to read between the lines is not so easy. And we don't have to fantasize and invent things about it either, just to go into silence and observe. So we begin to understand how these things work.
Is it like sitting there and wondering, or not wondering, but asking the question, what's going on and where's my place in it?
Well, I once asked Master Estrada, he was from Venezuela, a very, very wise and simple man. He was a carpenter too. And I said, Master, how can I know what is my mission of my life? And he would say, we have these beards. I did have it not because now of the guru, I had it always. It's a whole different story. But the beards are like antennas. And he would strike his beard and he said, well, son, what you're doing right now, that's your mission. So, everyone is in the right place, even though we are walking on. So we have to look around where we are, what we're doing, why we are doing this. And at the same time, look at where I'm going to, what is forward and up instead of back and down.
Do you feel that we have choices within this? I mean, a lot of people feel like things are predestined and this and that, but you're saying we're in an age here where this unity is being promoted energetically, but do we have personal choices to make in order to cooperate with it?
Yeah, that's one of the the great divine paradox, because the predestination and the free choice seem to be opposites. How can I have free choice if there's predestination? But when we start studying cosmic laws, like polarity, like cause and effect, and like so many other things which are available to anyone today, then we begin to understand this great divine paradox and know that both things are true at the same time and operate at the same time, because the predestination is the result of previous action, because the law of cause and effect. So there is a predestination, but right now I have the choice, to either say a bad word or inspire. If I'm angry, I may not have the choice because I'm reacting. But we want to be more and more consciousness, have to more consciousness, so we don't react. So we think first and then we communicate. So I have the choice of learning. I have the choice of loving. I have the choice of sharing, of serving. And that is my choice. And that's marvelous. And with this choice, I will construct also my future. And I will construct my predestination. But the whole predestination is evolution. I can't escape that.
How many of us are conscious that we do have choices? And does that make a choice in itself?
Yes. And that's the point where we get to when, somebody who has everything and is seemingly totally happy, and I don't need anything. And well, they don't have a need at that time. But since life is always also polarity, so sometimes then life says, but you have to go on. You cannot just stay where you are, where you're all satisfied and looking like everything is okay, because you have to go on. And so things happen. And when things happen, people begin to ask deeper questions, especially in the health field. I have been seeing this so much. I just had a few friends who had severe accidents with motorbikes, close to death. And yes, we were in contact with them. And besides the energetic support, it was like, now that you're conscious again, ask the question, what's the real meaning behind it? Now, if you understand that, then your cure is closer at hand, and then you will take the opportunity of making another choice, rather than just, I want to get drunk and I want to have, whatever.
Well, it's that time again. We're going to have to take another station break. Please stay with us. This is Dr. Baumbach, and I continue to explore tools to aid evolution. This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. Are you prepared? This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. We're continuing our discussion with Dr. Siegfried Baumbach. His website is IZTAC.org. Dr. Baumbach, we've seen, not even just recently, but people getting their assault rifles and sitting on a case of beans, so they're ready for the big changes that are coming. What's the alternative? I mean, obviously we have changes coming. How can we be prepared sans the cans of beans?
Okay, that's a state of consciousness. That's a state of fear. That's a state of distrust. That's a state of confusion. And we have the choice, by asking the right questions, to change our internal state and to elevate the frequency. And therefore, all the practices that are advertised are good, but it needs continuous application of these things in everyday life. And then people, the main sign of having more consciousness is having trust in the unknown part of the life. And if I have trust, and then fear begins to disappear, because I begin to understand more and more what life is all about, and how it works, and how the cosmic laws work, and how I do attract to myself whatever is happening in my mind. And so if I am sitting here and waiting for somebody to take away from me, he will surely come. But if I am confident and I don't fear, and I know a little bit more about what the whole thing of life and death is all about, and I can substitute fear by knowing, and therefore by understanding and by tolerance, I will create my own world where I'm not waiting for anybody to do things, even though we are not exempt. It may happen, but I'm not thinking about it all the time. I'm not preparing for this. I put my mind on how can I serve the other person so they have more well-being, more knowledge, more peace in their hearts, and then my world is changing. So there's a personal benefit to it, because I can change internally. And I mean, it doesn't happen right away. But if you keep in this direction, and that's spirituality in the New Age, if you keep in this direction of connection with yourself, with your insight, with the other people, with nature, with the divine, then this will manifest in our lives, and we don't have to worry about it. And more people will get into the frequencies, and instead of wanting to take away from the other, they say, how can we help? How can we not be of service to each other for a purpose of realization in our own lives? And so the best thing is to serve. There's, for instance, this one way of saying it that was said by Rumi in the 7th century. And he said, I slept and I dreamt that life is about happiness. And I woke up and I saw that life is about serving. I served and I found happiness.
That's such a beautiful statement. So tell me, where does gratitude fit in this?
Oh, very important. Because when we have gratitude, and it doesn't have to be for this or that. You know, many people wake up and do your list for all the things you're grateful. Okay, you can do that. It's okay. But it's a state. It's like, I'm grateful for just the opportunity, if I want to be grateful for something, to learn a little bit more today. And this gratefulness for everything I'm grateful, this will first of all change my internal situation. You know, if I like I'm worried, or I'm with fear, or I'm angry, I'm depressed. If I have gratefulness, it transmutes all of these sentiments, and then I can come into my center again and be happy because I'm grateful. It's true happiness. It's not an artificial happiness for this or for that. If I'm happy for this or that, that's beginning of unhappiness. But if I'm grateful, you know, I'm grateful even, I have a little pain here. I would like to have it to go away, but I'm grateful that what was this pain mean? How did it come here? I'm learning about it. I'm grateful for it. It's really miraculous.
It's an amazing transmuter, isn't it?
Yes.
So, Dr. Baumbach, it's that time in the show when I get to ask you, what's your mission?
What is my mission?
What's your mission?
Well, what has it been? What keeps it? It's to serve for this purpose of that the Aquarian vibration can really be manifested, and my life is dedicated to that. And we have, you know, this way of sharing with the people so they can learn. And I don't want to make too many words around it. It's just it's to serve and to grow.
Is there a certain critical mass, if you will, of people that once we reach it, of people that are living in this way, then is more available for those around us?
Yes, they always talk about this, and that the world will be saved by the few. It's metaphoric, but there's a number, yes, and it's a small number of people, but it's like it starts when we get to this point. That's why I say, when enough people of this critical mass ask truly this question about what is the meaning of life, from that point on, when we get to this number of people, then an avalanche of awakening consciousness will start. And that's where we can see that even the scientific predictions that we cannot resolve climate change anymore, it's too late because the train is already downhill and so forth. Well, that's from only the left brain and scientific aspect, but they have not thought about the magical aspect and the power of mind of people who think differently.
And I see a lot of our young people kind of coming in that way. Some of the amazing inventions are coming from the young ones. Like there was this one young man, I really wanted to get him on the show, but he was too young. He's created something that takes the plastic out of the oceans, you know. So our young people are really kind of on deck in a lot of ways, aren't they?
Yes, many people are in their own way, in their own area, trying to find solutions. And this is, yes, all of this is good because it's in the solution on the material plane. But it's like when we say you want to resolve a financial problem with finances, it doesn't work at the end. It does work when the consciousness is behind. So what we really need to do is look for having more consciousness about the meaning of life, but because then people would start to not having all this competition, that's where the destruction comes from, and invent more and more of these things that help each other. And yeah, young people are fed up with the hypocrisy of governments, of education, of religions. They want truth. They want authenticity, not just talk about things. They want to see people who have applied this knowledge in their lives. And when they see the authenticity, then they will collaborate, and we will have more and more alliances for a better world.
Is this because these young people were born in the age of Aquarius as we're transitioning? Did they come wired that way because of that?
Yeah, in fact, I'm quite impressed in many things. Sometimes in fact, with my daughters and my son, I just told somebody, and when one of my daughters was 15 years old, and I was with her in a place, and we talked, and it was like, wow, what took me 50 years to understand, she knows it like that. And so many are so ready. So that's why now the new ways of education, because education, the way we know it, is not anymore viable. But we have to ask the young people, how do you see it? How, what you like to see, and then we can work with it, and they will respect the elder if we listen to them.
That is the key, is listening, isn't it? Well, unfortunately, we're out of time in the whole show, Dr. Baumbach. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your knowledge. And it's been an exciting conversation.
Thank you, Gwilda.
Our guest this hour has been Guru Dr. Siegfried Baumbach. Dr. Baumbach is a master of real initiation, yoga master, physician, chiropractor, kinesiologist, and creator of holographic iridology. To find out more about Dr. Baumbach and where you can find all he has to offer, visit his website, IZTAC.org. This has been Mission Evolution with Gwilda Wiyaka. For more information or to enjoy past archived episodes, visit www.missionevolution.org. But please, be sure to join me right here next time. This mission will continue, bringing information, resources, and support to our rapidly evolving world.